Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Katatonia entitled Sky Void of Stars. This is the 12th studio album from Swedish metal chameleons Katatonia, who over the years have played around with everything from death doom to gothic metal to progressive rock to alternative rock. They also have what I often call a revolving door lineup, lots of people coming and going over the years, with the only constant members being Anders Nystrom and Jonas Rensk. Remarkably, despite the constant changes made to the sound and staff over the years, Katatonia have remained a pretty consistent band. Definitely some records are better than others, but no major duds, no big-time disappointments, not as far as I can see at least. Their output in the 2010s especially, Dead End Kings and The Fall of Hearts, I personally really enjoyed. That was where they kind of just divulged entirely into the realms of like progressive rock and progressive metal, while maintaining some of the gloomier kind of gothic aspects and elements, resulting in my opinion, some extremely cathartic and evocative and powerful material. I also really liked 2020's City Burials, which kind of seek to bring together a bunch of ideas from across the Katatonia discography into something really pretty, into something really majestic and epic, even bringing in some more like guitar-oriented numbers and such, some heavier, doomier sprawls and licks and harmonies. And that's one great thing about Sky Void of Stars right off the bat. I mean, this is Katatonia sounding the most comfortably Katatonia in a while, bringing together almost everything that Katatonia have done over the course of their nearly 30-year career, and bringing it into something filled with melancholy and beautiful and really great songwriting and production. I mean, the only era of Katatonia not represented whatsoever on this record would be Death Doom, which, I mean, I guess that sucks if you're somehow hoping that Katatonia will return to the days of Dance of December Souls and Brave Murder Day. But for everyone else, dig in. It's an all-you-can-eat Katatonia Sonic buffet, and it's delicious. Try the lobster. Try the soup du jour. Opening track Austerity kicks things off with some sincere and legitimate urgency. There's no silly intro. There's no like spoken word piece or anything. No elongated passages. The song just immediately starts. There's a bunch of chunky fucking riffs. Johan starts crooning and singing away. Melancholic vocal soundscapes contrasting with some muscular kind of classic heavy metal riffery and some more theatrical riffs and licks, almost in the vein of like King Diamond, but with a bit of a proggy goth metal underbelly. Some of the transitions from verse to verse or from verse to chorus, as well as some of the flashier moments altogether, even bring to mind like a little bit of Dream Theater, but I guess filtered through the aforementioned King Diamond. The following track, Colossal Shade, builds on this momentum with some slow-paced, gloomy grooves and some very anthemic hooks and vocals and such. Jonas Rensk repetitively saying throughout the track, we are gathered here tonight, almost as if to invite you into Katatonia's world of melancholy and heavy metal power. I'm telling you now, those bouncy riffs combined with the elegance and grace and gravita, this is destined to be like a live favorite on the next Katatonia tour. I wouldn't be shocked if this is one of the first songs they play. There's also Drab Moon, which plays around with some weirder, spacier, almost kind of psychedelic textures and melodies, with synths swerving in and out of the forefront of the sound and emboldening some really powerful, really gloomy, melancholic, atmospheric leads. Birds as well explodes with legitimate orchestral bombast and melodrama. But despite that, it's never really overwhelming. It never feels like really silly or cheesy. It actually does a really great job at complementing Jonas's very like melancholic vocals and creating something that feels really epic and powerful with the scale of like a really big prog metal song, or even like some atmospheric or symphonic black metal, obviously without bringing in those like really extreme elements. On that note, though, I will say that if there's one thing this album needs, it's, in my opinion, just a little bit of extremity. Not to the point of being like a bloodbath record, you know, that's the whole reason Anders and Jonas have bloodbaths, so they can put the really extreme shit in bloodbath. But, you know, a few gutturals, a few heavier grooves and riffs, I think it would actually go a long way in creating like even more contrast and making something even more evocative and powerful, even more emotional, and just helping everything pop and sizzle just a little bit more. For instance, the track No Beacon to Illuminate Our Fall does have a few grooves that would not be out of place on like a classic doom metal record. And I feel like, with a bit of an extreme metal spice rub, with a bit of that classic Katatonia Def Doom spice rub specifically, you could have something really powerful. It's still a great song in its own right, in its own regard. I'm not trying to suggest that it's bad. I'm simply saying, damn, there's so much here that could have been so much better. And all you would have had to have done is just do a little extra seasoning. Still, though, it's hard to, muster a legitimate complaint about this record, and that's the closest I got. In theory, if I wanted to be a real asshole, I could nitpick about the overusage of, reprisal choruses and such, but, I don't know, I really like how they reprise the choruses in the very end, I think it helps every song to end on a really bold and bright and powerful note. Production is fantastic here. I mean, everything just dazzles and sparkles and shines. Keyboards, synthesizers, strings, guitars, bass, drums. Jonas's vocals as well, sounding in absolute top form. So much, mournful, melancholic beauty. He sounds fantastic. The record is also pretty tight time-wise, ending at 50 minutes, if you include the bonus track. It's everything I think that, modern-day Katatonia fans want from Katatonia, brought into something that is cohesive and complete and doesn't waste time. I'm feeling a pretty solid 3.5 out of 5. It's a really good record. Again, I would maybe like some more extreme elements, but I still enjoyed this record for what it was. I look forward to seeing how Katatonia continues to refine and expand upon this sound. It's great to see them kind of bringing in a ton of stuff from across their discography into this album. I think it's very fair to say that if you don't like Katatonia, there's nothing on this record that would change your mind. It's very fair to say that if you're really just thirsting hard for a return to the days of Dance of December Souls and Brave Murder Day, you're going to be mega bummed out by this thing. But I mean, fuck it, you can just go replay those records while the rest of us enjoy this, problem solved. I don't really have a lot more to say, man. It's just a really good Katatonia record. 3.5 out of 5. I like it. I dig it. I would jam it again. I wouldn't object to picking this up on vinyl and listening to this in the rain while drinking an ungodly amount of red wine. That sounds like a fun time to me. You should do the same. Check it out. Booyah. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you can get updates on the Metal Meltdown immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.